Jaiva dharma means the dharma or the duties or the right actions of the jiva. Jiva means the soul. So in other words, as opposed to what are right actions for the body, like you can go to a doctor and the doctor will say, this is what you should do to maintain your body well. These are the right actions for the soul. And dharma means right actions, actions which will produce good results. And dharma comes from a higher source. It's not man-made. So, Jaiva Dharma is a story, it's fiction, but it's not made up. The answers are not made up. The answers are all coming from Shastra or scripture, Vedic scripture. But it's set within the context of a conversation. So, typically in traditional conversations, in spiritual conversations, there's a guru and there's a disciple. So there are a couple disciples, and then the guru is answering the questions, and they're basically asking, how is it that we've come to this world where there's suffering, and it doesn't seem right, doesn't seem fair? How did it all happen? So it's a good question. A lot of people don't even ask it. And I was thinking this morning how I once heard that there was some tension in Pakistan, I don't know when, like a year ago. And so they made an announcement, like if you're an American, don't go in this area because right now there's friction between America and Pakistan. And if anyone finds out you're an American, they might shoot you. So I was thinking that's similar to what the spiritual master explains. He says, okay, you're in this world, this is a dangerous place. And before you hear that, you might have been thinking, well, everything's good, I'm fine, I was just going shopping today, we had a good time at the mall with my friends. So what's the problem? And then the government's saying, no, there's a problem, you could be killed. And you really need to stay inside and protect yourself and so forth. And so spiritual knowledge is a little bit like that. Like, okay, I thought everything was cool. I thought everything was good here. I was having fun. I really didn't see that there's so many problems. I mean, I knew not everything was perfect, but, and the spiritual master says, no, you are in the wrong place. This is not where you belong. Don't go to the mall. That's not where you go back home. That's where you belong. That's where it's safe. Everything will be good. So the spiritual master is saying, you know, this is not your home, you don't belong here, that's why things are not working right. You have another place, you just forgot. Now there's different ways you can react. You could be rebellious and say, well, I don't care. Or you could say, well, how do I know what you're saying is true? Maybe I'll go out to the mall and it will be safe. Or you could just completely deny it. Or you could say, I don't believe, maybe it's true, I don't believe it. So this is how people react to spiritual knowledge. That's just how they react. Anyway, that's a preface. So let us begin reading. I'm going to read what we read last week. And these are... Actually, I don't even know if I read that last week because I have a document which summarizes that chapter. And it requires some explanation. So basically the question is being asked, what's going on here? Rajanath is asking this question to Raghunath Das Babaji. You know, how did we end up here? I mean, God loves us, but there's a lot of bad things going on here. And I think everybody, if you gave everyone in the world a chance to design their life like a movie and say, hey, we're going to create a movie and this is going to be your life and you can make it any way you want and we'll just do the movie and that's how it'll be. Probably most people would design it differently. Like maybe someone would say, well, in this movie, after 100 years, I want to look and feel like I'm 25. And I want to make sure I never get sick. And I want to have all these really nice relationships with everybody, affectionate dealings. And in my world, I don't want there to be any pain or suffering or lamentation or depression like that. You could go on, kind of design it. And then in my world, no financial problems. And I just want to do what I like to do, what I'm inspired to do. I don't want to work at a job that's boring and something that has no connection with what is really in my heart. So you could design your life like that, and whose life is like that? Whose life is even close to that? Some people get a little close. They do what they like, they have money, they have good relationships, but the not getting old part, well, you could take vitamins, but you could slow it down a little bit. The not getting sick part, you could avoid illnesses if you're careful. Not all illnesses, but you can do okay. But everybody liking you part, that's a little more difficult. Not getting old part, that's not possible. Not getting sick, that's pretty much impossible. At some point, you're going to get it. So, some people have it better, so we call it good karma. Some people don't have it so well. But most of our lives are not designed the way we'd like them. And even if they are, there's things we can't control. So that's the questions being asked. So how did we end up? Basically, he's saying, how do we end up in this mess? Because it's not, if I could choose it, it wouldn't be like this. It wouldn't look like this. Some of it might look like this, but it all wouldn't look like this. So what's going on? So here's the answer. They have rejected Sri Krishna. Hence, they are being penalized by the Maya Shakti. Shakti means energy. Energy of Maya, and Maya means illusion, or the material energy, who binds them with 3 chains in the form of the 3 modes of material nature, Sattva, Raja, and Tama. Those are 3 categories of how we're bound. If I think everybody understands this intuitively, but they don't understand how it's working. Everybody feels controlled. Sometimes you just have to do something, or sometimes you just have to have something, or sometimes you just burst out and scream and get angry. And then you look back at it and you say, what overcame me? How did that happen? Sometimes we do things that in saner moments we wouldn't do. And so we feel there's a force that's come over us. As the Christians say, I didn't do it, the devil made me do it. Something like that. The devil has come over me. Wow, I don't know why I did that. That was the wrong thing to do. Or sometimes we just feel very lazy, procrastinating. We can't get moving. Sometimes we feel we can't stop moving. We're just go. We do this. You do 100 things, and then, wow, I've done 100 things today. Maybe I can get to 108 before 11:59. And just go. That's another force. And sometimes we're just peaceful. We're not lazy, and we're just satisfied. We're just appreciating. And we're dwelling in higher purpose, philosophy, spirituality, like that. Who am I? What's my purpose? Who's God? What's my relationship? That's another force. So these forces mix. So that's called Sattva, Raja, and Tama. So what's being said here is we have a choice. We can connect with God, with Krishna. We can disconnect. The idea of disconnecting means if I connect, I'm subordinate. He's bigger, more powerful, and a better controller than I am. And he's a lot smarter than me. And so if I connect with him in the true sense of connecting, I have to submit to what he knows, what he wants. Not everyone is prepared to do that. Even people in the name of religion are not prepared to do that, although they think they are. But when it comes down to it and you study it closely, you can see many religious people don't do what God wants them to do. And they rationalize it, and they come up with all kinds of very interesting philosophies to explain why they're not doing what God wants them to do, but actually that they are doing what God wants them to do. Actually, animals, in the Christian tradition, they have come up with the idea that animals don't have souls. If animals don't have souls, then you can eat them. Guilt-free meat eating. After all, they don't have souls. After all, they don't have feelings. So that's a good philosophy for if you want to eat them. Guilt-free and believe that there's no reaction. It's not what's stated in the Bible, but anyway, at least there's no guilt. You can get away with it. So that's what happens. And then in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, when you get in this position, then what is real religion is rejected as irreligion, and what is irreligion is accepted as religion. So, anyway, so that's the mentality. There's a rejection of the position of God in my relationship with Him, or at least maybe not the rejection of the position of God, but the rejection of my position in relationship to Him. I'm not digging this subordinate thing anymore. It's not working for me. I want to get out. I want to spread my wings. I want to be a little God in my universe. Okay, so the material world's created. Why does this world exist? Now, you look at this world and say, okay, I mean, if you're smart, if you're thinking, I mean, most people don't think. That's the problem. They've been trained not to think about anything other than how to get a good education, to get a good job, to make a lot of money so they can buy the latest this or that. And now the latest this or that is the latest phone, mobile device, or bigger flat screen TV. Or they can upgrade their computer every 3 months. So, but if somebody's thinking, they'll look around and they'll go, wait a minute, I don't want to die, and I'm going to die. This is not cool. They're going to think, this world, there's a lot of people that are not really happy, and a lot of those people are not really happy, are like really rich. Something's wrong here. There's some people that have so much food to eat that they have to go to the gym to work it off and take diet pills. And there's other people that are starving to death. There's some people whose homes are made out of plastic sheets and pieces of wood they find. And there's other people that have huge garages just to put things in them that they don't use, that they bought like a month and a half ago. Who created this mess? This is not right. Something's wrong here. Is this just an accident? It's like, what's going on here? And I have been really trying hard to be happy, and I've got a lot of things that I really wanted, that I was 100% convinced would make me happy, and they didn't. What's going on here? This is not right. So, somebody asks this question. Someone has to be in that consciousness to even ask this question. What's going on here? How did I end up here? This doesn't seem fair. Is there a God? Is there a God? If there's a God, does He love me? If He loves me, then this doesn't look like love. This looks more like a prison. So these are the kind of questions that come up, right? People who are thinking. All right, so that's the question that's the motive behind this question is, how did I end up here? And so the answer is, it's not God's fault, it's your fault. In fact, what we learn is everything's our fault. Just like in the Gita 13:21, Krishna says something very interesting. He says, there are two causes for things to happen. One cause is the material world, because unless there's this world, you won't have a body, and there won't be anything to do with your body. So you need matter. So the body's composed of matter, and there's matter, and you can manipulate matter so you can do something. So matter, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Matter is the cause in one sense, because without matter, what are you going to do? And you didn't create it. So that's beyond what you can do. But you can manipulate it. You can take it and you can use it or misuse it. So the Gita says that matter, a material world, is one cause, but the cause of suffering and enjoyment is the living entity. So he takes the matter, she takes the matter, and then messes up or does well and causes suffering. Now, if we don't understand that, there's a tendency to look at God and go, how did he create this mess? And then some people come up with the idea, well, maybe God just only has limited control. So, there's a lot of things going on that he would like to change, but he can't figure out how to do it. So that's one philosophy. That's not the Krishna conscious philosophy. The Krishna conscious philosophy is God is in complete control and he knows exactly what he's doing. And what has he done? He's given us this world. One time, Srila Prabhupada was asked this question, why did Krishna create this world? And he said, because you wanted it. So and then he said, it's not even necessary. You have the spiritual world and you have the material world. And it's like, the material world, there's so many wonderful things, and within the next decade we'll have all these solar power this or this power that, and there's a movement to go back to nature and be more ecological, and there's a lot of spirituality going on. It looks like a renaissance, and people are into yoga and bhakti. All right, but that's all relative good and bad, because in the overall picture, it's still within the material world. And so Prabhupada said, the material world is not necessary. It's not a fundamental part of material creation. It's only necessary because people want it. And so, why does this world exist? Because we wanted it. Why is there suffering? That's the question here. Because if there isn't, nobody's going to figure out that they don't belong here. What if you were in a prison, and the prison house was like a five-star hotel, beach resort? You're going to figure, I should get out of here? You're going to figure, if I get out of here, I'm in trouble. If they let me out, I'm going to commit some more crimes. In fact, probably you'd have 100% of the population being criminals, so they could live in the five-star resort and not have to work. But they don't make prisons like that. Prisons are not nice places. They make them so you want to get out. So the material world is like that. And you have three modes of nature, so you have different qualities of cells. You have the nicer cells, the not nicer cells, and the really bad cells. So yes, life in this world could be nicer, but it's not as nice as what it's like outside the prison. So, prison is there because they're criminals. We are the criminals. Okay, Prabhus, Matajis, face up to the reality. We are criminals, and when you go in prison, you get a prison suit. And how do you know you're a criminal? Because we're wearing prison suits. That's called material bodies. And how do we know we're in a prison? Because there are bars on the door. That's called birth, old age, disease, and death. So, okay. So now what do we do? Good question. If you don't ask what you should do, you're not yet human. So you're in the prison, ask. Okay. Let's read on. Furthermore, she covers the swarup of the jiva with the subtle body and then the gross body. Okay, that's the prison suit. Okay. Welcome to the prison. Here's your gross body. That means the physical body. And the subtle means your mind, intelligence. And ego means your conception that you're the gross body. Thus imprisoning the jiva in the excruciating cycle of karmic reactions, which at times heaves him up to heaven or pushes him down to hell. Okay. Now, here you are. Here's your prison suit. Here are the parameters: birth, old age, disease, and death. Those are the walls and bars. And whatever you do in this prison, there's going to be a reaction for it. So if you do something good, you're going to get a good reaction. You'll get out sooner. If you do something bad, you may end up in solitary confinement, or we may extend your stay in the prison, or we may fine you, or all three, depending what you do. But just know it, that whatever situation you end up in here in the prison, you created it. If you're a good boy or girl, we're going to let you out. If you follow the rules, of course you have to understand the rules, and we're going to give you a book of rules, but of course some of the prisoners are going to throw the book of rules away because they don't like rules, and they're going to try to make up their own rules, but then they're going to end up probably in solitary confinement. Okay. For the residents of the spiritual world, prema being their life and soul, they do not even know that lamentation, death, or fear actually exist. Very interesting. So, spiritual world. Okay. Like if you've never been in a prison, I don't know, they have these television shows in America, and you can watch what it's like in a prison. And it's a lot worse than you think. And some prisons, probably, we couldn't imagine what it's like. Of course, we wouldn't want to. But so, that's kind of the idea here. In the spiritual world, there is no death, there is no suffering, there's none of the conditions that exist in the material world. The material world has conditions, just like this prison has conditions, and the conditions in the prison don't exist outside the prison. And so people who, especially like children, take an 8-year-old, you think they could imagine what his life in the prison is like? It's not the rules that govern their life. Especially if they have a nice life and nice parents and nice friends. It's totally different. So their life is great. So here it's saying the qualities that exist in the material world, such as lamentation, death, or fear, they're beyond conception in the spiritual world because they don't exist there. So people, they can't even imagine them. The transcendental, we'll continue that. Well, I'm going to go back. I can't look at your conversations and read at the same time, so I'm going to go back. See if you said anything. Oh, looks like I got popped out. Hold on. There's no free spots, Prabhus. I got to kick one of you guys out to make room for me, okay? So, otherwise, I have to pay. I'm a poor Brahmin. I have to pay to get back onto my own class. There's no justice in this world. So, if one of you can get off, or we can only have 10. So they popped me off because I wasn't active. So, anyway, I'll go back and look later. The transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna are also present in the jiva. Oh, so then what's being asked here, so I have to fill in. He's saying, so then Brajanath is saying, okay, but this doesn't make sense to me because it's like, okay, there's a prison there, and there are conditions in the prison that don't exist outside the prison. So why did Krishna create us in a way in which we could leave the prison? Actually, we weren't reading from this document last week. We were reading from the original document in the Jaiva Dharma, which has more details. So let us pause for one moment, and I'm going to see if I can locate exactly where we were reading from last week. And I think it would be, then it fills in all the missing, you're not hearing all the questions. Because the questions are interesting, because what's being asked are all the questions everyone asks. Why did we come here? What's going on? Here's the question he asked. Krishna is Karuna Maya, so why did he make the jiva so weak that he became entangled in Maya? Karuna Maya means full of mercy. Well, let's go back a little further, because there's a more important question. There's a question that precedes this. Brajanath is the student who's asking Raghunath Das Babaji. And Brajanath asks, he said, I understand this marginal position. In other words, he's explained, and we discussed this last week, that we have free will, we have choice. So we can choose to do good, we can choose to do bad, we can choose to go up, we can choose to go down. It's our choice. Krishna gives it to us. He doesn't interfere with it. I mean, he interferes in the sense that he tries to explain what the proper choices are. But at this point in creation, this is going back to an original point in time, in the history of our sojourn, that we made a decision to separate from Krishna. So he's asking this question on that basis. I understand that this marginal position is at the junction of the spiritual and material worlds. Why is it that some jivas go there to the material world while others go to the spiritual world? So it's a good question. Then Babaji says, Krishna's qualities are present in the jiva, but only in a minute quantity. Krishna is supremely independent, so the desire to be independent is eternally present in the jivas as well. When the jiva uses his independence correctly, he remains disposed towards Krishna, but when he misuses it, he becomes opposed to him. It is just this opposition that gives rise to the desire in the jiva's heart to enjoy Maya. So there's this unfortunate situation that happened a long time ago. We can't even trace out. But we were given the choice. Do we want to remain, or do we want to take shelter of Krishna, subordinate ourselves to him, acknowledge him as the enjoyer and acknowledge ourselves as the enjoyed? Or do we want to try it the other way, where we'll separate ourselves from him and then we'll, in a sense, replace ourselves as the enjoyer of our world. We'll create our world, because otherwise we're existing in his world. And in his world, he's the enjoyer. It's like you go to your friend's birthday party, and after a while you say, hey, why is he getting all the presents? Why is everybody honoring him? This is not fun. I want to be in the center. And you try to knock him out. Well, what'll happen? Say, wait a minute, why don't I get the presents? They'll throw you out. Say, if you're going to do that, you can't stay here. This is his party. So, in the spiritual world, in spiritual life, the party evolves around Krishna. And if Krishna is satisfied, everybody's satisfied. But somehow or other, and don't ask why, because you'll never understand. The only answer is because you can do this. That's the only answer, because you can reject Krishna. Somehow or other, we thought, well, why don't I try that? I mean, that looks fun. It's like somebody's doing something like riding a skateboard down a stairway, a rail on a stairway. And you're like, that looks fun, let me try that. And you've never ridden a skateboard in your life. What's going to happen? You're going to hurt yourself. So we're looking at Krishna and saying, yeah, well, that looks fun. I mean, I could be God also. I mean, why not? And so that's what we make that decision. And it was by far the worst decision we have ever made in the history in the eternity of our existence. And the best decision we could ever make is to rectify that and spin it around and say, I made a mistake. I'm not the enjoyer. I am the enjoyed. I am not supreme. Krishna is supreme. I'm his servant. That's the best decision you can make, because that decision rectifies the other decision. But what's being said here is we have that independence, and Brajanath's saying, why do we do that? That was a stupid thing. And really what he's saying is, why did Krishna let us do it? Because why would Krishna let us do something stupid? Just like, why would a parent let children do something stupid? Sometimes they do. Either because the child insists or because they know that's the only way the child's going to learn that that's not the right thing to do. Can I touch this? No, it's going to burn you. Can I touch it? No, it's going to burn you. Don't just, okay, touch it. You don't want to listen to me? Okay, touch it. Get burnt. Now you'll know what it means to be burnt. Like that. So, let me see if I can get back on the chat again. Yes. Okay. I'm back on the chat. Welcome, Ganapati. Long time no see. Ganapati made it crawling. He got there somehow or other. Fantastic. All right. So I'm back. Can I ask you? Yes. Danny boy, ask. Ask your question. Anyway, I don't know why we only get 10 people on this. It's like unfortunate, but ask your question. As you're asking, I will read a little bit, and then when I see your question, we'll answer it. You talk about multi-gods. Yeah, like you and me, we're both trying to be God. That sense. Demigod worship and its consequences. Demigod worship is interesting. We'll digress here, but it's an important point. You see, when we made that one wrong decision, there were a lot of implications. A lot had to go in to make that decision. And what had to go into that is that I'm figuring that multi-gods. Well, let's just understand. I'll explain it philosophically. Hare Krishna, Palak Paneer. Your name is making me hungry. Palak Paneer is spinach with curd in it, in case nobody knows. I am invisible, Ganapati. By the grace of the internet in India, I've made myself invisible because if you see me, I might disappear because of the slow bandwidth. So, here's how it works. Here's how it works. So we made this decision, and the decision was like, okay, there's Krishna, that looks good, he's okay. I mean, I don't mind him, but how about a space for me? I mean, like, can I try to do the same thing? So, Leela Krishna, Hari Bol, fantastic. So, within this decision that we made, there's a lot of psychology that went into it and a lot of psychology that comes after it. And we're particularly concerned about what came after it. And what came after it was the concept that I could enjoy matter. And I could enjoy matter like God enjoys spirit. So then we get to work. What's the work? Trying to enjoy. So, okay, we try to enjoy matter. The concept is that it's possible. And so sometimes we do get some enjoyment, and enjoyment in different modes has different qualities, and sometimes the enjoyment is pretty miserable. Like you're enjoying doing something and it's causing you pain simultaneously. That's the mode of ignorance. It actually exists. It's quite interesting if you think about it. In the mode of ignorance, you get pleasure, but simultaneously you get pain. It's kind of like enjoying something, getting knocked in the head at the same time. You say, well, what does that mean? Well, let's say you like to do something, but you have this, you hurt your leg, but you like to play soccer, but you can't stop yourself playing soccer. Well, that's football in Britain and England, soccer, it's the same game. We call it soccer in America. So you're running around, and your leg hurts, but you're enjoying the game, but you're suffering at the same time. You can't stop playing. because you love the game so much, but you can't stop screaming because it hurts. So you're suffering while you're enjoying. That's the mode of ignorance. Well, you're lying in the gutter drunk, and you call that happiness. And you've got, your head's banged up because you fell over. So that's happiness in the mode of ignorance. That's the hardest way to enjoy in the material world, in the mode of ignorance, because mode of ignorance is categorized by misery. Okay. I think you guys better go eat and come back and listen. Okay? So, okay, everybody, focus on what I'm saying, not the pun here. Okay. So now you go in the mode of passion. So I want to enjoy, I want to enjoy, I want to enjoy. The mode of passion means you actually get enjoyment. You actually enjoy it. You're having a good time. You're out with your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Wow, we had a great time, And then your boyfriend or girlfriend calls you up. Go, wow, that was such a good time. I'm getting so attached. Maybe they'll ask me to marry them. And they call you up to tell you they have another boyfriend or girlfriend. Whoa. Turns to misery. Has that happened to anybody? I don't have to ask. I know that's happened. Unless you're born in India, it may not happen. But if you're in America, the chances of that happening are quite high. In fact, it's unlikely it won't happen. Or something like that, close to that. So that is an example. Or you go shopping, have a great time, and you find out, oh yeah, don't talk about the food, it's Ekadasi. Yeah, talk about not eating, fasting. Fasting is wonderful. You can eat on Ekadasi, holy. Just don't eat grains. So, so in passion, you do something and, you go shopping and then, whoa, now you're in debt and you're like in anxiety when you get your credit card bills because you don't have money to pay them and freaking out because the credit card charges are like 22%. And so that's passion. And in goodness, you do some tapasya, you do some austerity, you get up early in the morning, like all good Hare Krishna devotees do, and you chant the Maha Mantra, and you're like, wow, it's freezing cold here, and I really wanted to be in my bed under my blanket, but I've got up and I've chanted. And you realize that after 2 hours, that was like the happiest 2 hours of my life. This laying in bed was not happiness. It doesn't compare to this. So I did the austerity, but the result is I feel great all day. Yeah, so that's a result of happiness in the mode of goodness. It's a little better. It's based on dharma, dharmic principles. It's not based on you. Mode of passion is all about us, me, me, me. What do I like? What do I don't like? My whole life centers around what do I like? What do I don't like? What do I want to do? What I don't want to do? That's mode of passion. Mode of ignorance is the whole life centers around, oh, that'd be good if we do that, but it's too much trouble, so we'll just, whatever. We'll just go down to the welfare office and get a check and just, get drunk. That's easier. That's the mode of passion. And the mode of goodness is, okay, I don't want to do this, but this is the right thing, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but we're going to do it because it's good, and you're happy. Okay, so, but there's still ways of enjoying, so that's the point. The real point to understand is, when we made that stupid decision a long time ago to turn away, to be Krishna's competitor, maybe a nice competitor, maybe, as Krishna, you can be who you are, I just want to be who I am. It's cool if you are who you are, but just count me out of the party. I want to do my own party. I don't mind you're having a party, I want my own party, and I want to do it the way you do it. And I want to, take some of the things that can I take some things from your party to my party? Because really I don't have anything unless you give it to me. Which is like the joke where the scientist goes to God and says, we don't need you anymore, we can create life. And God goes, oh, really? Scientist says, yes. And God goes, well, let's have some competition, see how you do it. Scientist says, yeah, we'll do it just like you did it in the beginning. We'll get some clay, we'll get some dirt, we'll form it into a form, and we'll blow life into it. God goes, okay, sounds good. So then the scientist starts forming this form out of dirt, clay. God goes, wait a minute, buddy, get your own dirt. So, you could laugh at that. That was funny. So, something like that. Okay, Krishna, I want to enjoy like you. You could enjoy, that's cool. But it's not necessarily you want to do away with God, but you have to use things that He has, and you have to try to kind of imitate Him the way He does it. So we try to do that. And it's based on this important point. This is all about the demigods, believe it or not. It's based on this principle that I want to enjoy. Okay, so get that in your head, this enjoying principle, and who enjoy like who? God. Wow. Because He's the enjoyer. That's not good. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not good to try to imitate God. In case you don't know, I'm telling you now. Don't try it. It doesn't work. So, we're in the material world, we're trying it. If you try it in the mode of goodness, you suffer less. You actually enjoy more. And you become a demigod. Yeah, so demigod worship is selfish, but the demigods are selfish. It's all selfish. There's no bhakti. So you see, bhakti is the way out of this enjoying thing, because bhakti is the antithesis to material enjoyment, to the desire to enjoy like Krishna. Because in bhakti, Krishna becomes enjoyer and you become the enjoyed. In demigod worship, the demigods become the enjoyers temporarily, but you're never in the position of enjoyed. You're also in the position of enjoyer. And you're using them for your enjoyment, and there's no bhakti, there's no relationship. And therefore, it'll never satisfy your heart. It'll never elevate you beyond a certain level of dharma. And the best you can hope for is a body, a demigod body. There's really no meaning to bhakti to the demigods, because it doesn't happen. I mean, it's rare. I mean, if it's so-called bhakti, it's not bhakti, because you just want something. And if you don't, and then the other thing is you say, well, I don't want anything, but you're afraid if you don't worship them, something bad will happen. So then you're worshiping out of fear, fear is about as far from love as it goes. So most people worship the demigods either to get something or out of fear. If they don't worship them, something bad is going to happen. So bhakti is way beyond that. Demigod worship is dharma, and dharma is one of the four principles, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And bhakti is way beyond that. So, yeah. So the whole thing with the demigods and the Indians is they've been in families for generations that have worshipped demigods. And so they're just afraid if they don't worship the demigods, there'll be an earthquake under their house and it'll get crushed, and their whole family is going to say, it's your fault because you didn't worship the demigods. And Krishna says in the Gita, Sarva dharmam paritaja, which is another way for saying, don't worship the demigods, worship me. As a family's been doing it for many years. Radhi, Kelly, Radhika knows it well. And they don't know any better. Yeah. Exactly. You can write, why don't you write a rap song? And they don't know any better. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Hey, that'd be a great idea. Do a rap song about not worshiping the demigods, and that'll be the line, the tag. And they don't know any better. Because family's been doing it for many years, and they don't know any better. Yeah. Okay, someone will do it. So, okay, so anyway, we got ourselves in a big mess. And the irony is, we're still trying to enjoy. Hello, everybody. In case you don't know, we're still trying to enjoy. And that's why we're still in this mess. It's the Kali Yuga. It's been 5,000 years in the Kali Yuga. We've been around a long time, not just 5,000 years. We're still here. You know why we're still here? Because we're still trying to enjoy. Yep, the unfortunate truth. How does it the Indians know this shloka and they're still worshiping demigods? Because they don't have a bona fide guru to tell them what that shloka means, that bhakti is above dharma. Dharma is the four principles of material life. If you're dharmic, you'll get money because you're doing the right thing. And then with money you get kama, gratify your senses. And then when your senses are gratified and you're old and dried up, you can think about liberation. But that bhakti is way beyond all that. And so it's so ingrained within the culture, within the psyche of the Indian, that it's hard for them to get beyond it. And we Westerners are very fortunate not to have been raised worshiping demigods, because we don't have that problem. And they do, and it's a big problem for many. And if it's not a problem for one of the devotees, it's probably in the family, it's probably a problem for someone else in the family. Anyway, it's just, there's a lot of things they don't understand. And that's one of them. And there's a lot of fear surrounding it. And pressure. And misunderstanding. Anyway, so let's get back to reading. Time is flying here. I don't know how it turned into 7. I don't know how we've been going for 45 minutes. Yeah, Shivji and they're demigods, but you can worship. If you want to worship them, then pray to them to become devotees, better devotees. That's, if, let's say in your family you have to have these demigods on the altar, and your mother-in-law says if you don't take care of these demigods, you don't get any chapatis today. You'll be fasting, and we won't talk to you. Then you worship them, but you worship them for bhakti. You worship them as devotees, and you pray for their mercy. Then, you respect them as devotees of Krishna. But Krishna says, whatever worship you give to them is for me. So he says, just worship me, and they're happy, and they're taken care of. That's the whole point. It's like Prabhupada says, okay, you have to pay your income tax. So do you go to every government employee and give them $2? No, you just pay the federal government, and then they'll pay all the other people in the other departments. So the demigods are happy like that. Anyway, let's read a little more now that we're on the topic. Krishna's qualities are present in the jiva, but only in minute quantity. Krishna is supremely independent. So the desire to be independent is eternally present in the jivas. Because Krishna is independent, we're part of him, we have that same desire. When the jiva uses his independence correctly, he remains disposed towards Krishna. But when he misuses it, he becomes opposed to him. It is just this opposition that gives rise to the desire in the jiva's heart to enjoy Maya. Yes. So I want to be separate from Krishna. And now, when that desire to enjoy is there, or be separate from Krishna, or when the desire to be separate from Krishna is there, the desire to enjoy, that seed is placed very deep within the heart. And that is a big problem, as you all well know. Because of the desire to enjoy Maya, he develops the false ego that he can enjoy material sense gratification. And then the 5 types of ignorance, and then he describes these ignorance, and I'll describe them shortly. But the point here is ego, or the false ego. What is, we use this word false ego a lot. What does false ego mean? What he describes here is it means that I can enjoy. That's a false ego. So somebody might say, you have a big false ego, because he's proud. But really, the real way to look at it is those ladies shopping at the mall, the rich ladies who are buying a million things they don't need, they have a big false ego because they think they're going to enjoy this. And the guy shopping at Sam's buying this 468-inch flat-screen TV or a big screen for his, he thinks, I'm really going to enjoy movies now, and buying the $25,000 Bose system. He's really got a big false ego. See, we don't think of it that way, do we? We think big false ego is pride and bodily identification. But here he's saying the basis of all of it is that I can enjoy. That's That's where all the other stuff comes from. If you pull that out, if you just pull out that weed in the heart that I could enjoy separately from Krishna, all the other stuff will go away. Because it's all rooted in that. That's the trunk of the tree. Interesting, isn't it? The way he said that's the concept that I can enjoy, that's false ego. False ego simply means a false concept of who I am. Who am I? I'm the enjoyer. Really? You're the enjoyer? How come you're suffering? Somehow or other we don't get it, right? We still don't get it, and we're devotees, and we've heard it like 4,376 times. Prabhu, you're suffering, you're not the enjoyer. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to the movies tonight. We don't get it, right? I know. Just one more, I just need to do it one more time, Prabhu, you already did it 14,000 times. No, just one more, I just got to get it out of my system. Okay, there's a way to get it out of your system. That's regulation, okay, we can't become pure devotees overnight. But we're supposed to understand the principle. What's the principle? What we have to realize is that so many of us will say, I understand, I know, but I just have this desire. I know, but this attachment, I know, but I just don't care that much. I know, but it's all, where's that coming from? It's coming from a lack of conviction that I'm not the enjoyer, that I can't enjoy this world. That's where it all comes from. So any problem that we have, any hesitation to surrender to Krishna, just go back. Everything's cause and effect. So go back, and you'll realize you're not convinced that you can't enjoy. It's just what it comes down to. You could make up a list of, well, it was my mother, and she treated me this way, and then I got attached to this, and my sister was never nice, and my teachers were jerks, and then I joined this temple, and the temple president, he was really weird, and you could have your whole list. Okay, great, who cares? Philosophically, it always comes back. If it's I know, but I just don't care. I know I should, but it's so hard. I'd like to. It all comes back to this thing. We're just not convinced that there's no real enjoyment in this world. The best way to become convinced? I don't think there's any better way than this. Should I tell you, or should we wait till next week? We're almost over. Should I keep you in suspense and torture you? Is he going to tell us? Is he not going to tell us? Okay, I'll tell you. I like you. When push comes to shove and it all comes down to it, it is not really, we have this principle in Krishna consciousness. Well, it's not really in Krishna consciousness. It's a little bit outside of Krishna consciousness. Did the sound cut out, or is it just on my computer? Can anyone else hear me? Because Sudevi's having trouble. The gods say, Sudevi, you must refresh. Refresh yourself. Now Sudevi's going to miss the answer to this all-important question, and her life will be ruined. Okay, so you've all heard of Jnana Yoga. You may have heard of Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So let me explain this to you so you understand, and then you'll better understand my answer. Gyan, as we know, means knowledge. And part of the process of Gyan, you get in a Bhagavad Gita, knowledge of what? This is matter, this is spirit. But in addition to that, you get this other information, Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Vartino Arjuna, the material world. Wherever you go, to Brahma Loka, down to the lowest planet, there are problems, birth, old age, disease, and death. That's not fun, and your girlfriend will end up leaving you. Even if she doesn't leave you, you will leave her by death, she'll leave you by death. Your kids will leave you, you'll leave them. It's not fun. So that's called Gyan. And so you get Gyan, And you go, hey, yeah, I always kind of understood that. And yeah, and if you were a Buddhist, you already knew the world was suffering, because that's what Buddha taught. World is suffering. Suffering comes from attachment. You want to relieve suffering, then become detached. So, conflict with Windows 8. You have to keep on refreshing. Oh, terrible. All glories to Windows 8. That's what happens when we make advancement. Things get worse. Windows 8, bummer. Maybe use a different internet browser. Try that. Sometimes one browser doesn't work as well as another. Okay, so Gyan. So by Gyan, so Gyan means, okay, we understand, okay, this is good, this is bad, this will make me happy, this will cause suffering. And Gyan is a big reason that people become devotees. And especially when you find out about Krishna consciousness, then you realize there's a way out of this mess. So there's actually another place to go where this doesn't happen. And then you think, yeah, I want to go there. And you get all fired up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Wow, nectar, yeah, kirtan, prasadam. So, yeah. Yeah, Sudevi has to try something else. But anyway, so you have the knowledge, right? But knowledge doesn't always work. I mean, if you really are attached to something and someone says, if you eat that, it's not good for you. What do you tell them? You go, shut up and go away. I'm going to eat it. People who eat that get cancer. Yeah, whatever, I'm not going to get cancer. Get out of here. Isn't it? If you have children, you know this well. So, knowledge sometimes works, and sometimes it doesn't, but even if it works, it's hard to maintain it. Yeah, I know. So you have to go on this diet, so you have this picture on the refrigerator of this woman who's like 40 pounds lighter than you, and you just keep looking at knowledge. I want to be like that. Don't eat that, sweet, yeah, because if you do, you're not going to look like that woman. So, you keep going and pushing, and it's knowledge, yeah. But knowledge is only one thing. And actually, a higher understanding of bhakti is if we are motivated to serve Krishna so we won't suffer, that's called jnana mishra bhakti. It's not pure. Because we should be motivated to please Krishna, right? That's a higher motivation. And anyway, the point is that jnana, just by knowing it's going to cause us suffering, it's not good, that's not enough, because we have unlimited stories of very knowledgeable people who've fallen down. And Shastra says, you're going to fall down even though you know. What do you need? What do you require? You require taste, ruchi. It's the only thing, Prabhus and Matajis, nothing else ultimately is going to help us. Because when you get taste, what happens? Then you're actually enjoying. And at that point, the gyan becomes realized as a byproduct. See, because our philosophy is gyan is a byproduct of bhakti. But you can use it to get bhakti. But it's not the highest motivation. But it's a byproduct. What comes? You realize this is really enjoyment. And you realize that I'm actually enjoying by being enjoyed by Krishna. That's what will root out the desire to be the enjoyer. And therefore, that means it roots out the false ego if you enjoy in Krishna consciousness. Now, we have spoken about enjoyment in Krishna consciousness and what that means. So we have to go back to that topic briefly so we can finish this topic, which was to answer the question about demigod worship. Amazing how we got this far. What if I want to do something that's enjoyable, that I like doing for Krishna? Oh, don't do it, Prabhu. You'll fall into Maya. If you like doing it, that's sense gratification. No. Do it to please Krishna. So, Ganapati likes to play guitar. So, if Ganapati's smart, he'll play his guitar for Krishna, to please Krishna. And then, he's not the enjoyer. Krishna's the enjoyer. I hope Krishna likes the way you play guitar, Ganapati. Otherwise, either he'll be the enjoyer, no, you'll be the enjoyer. You'll both suffer. So, but you understand the principle. Okay, I like to do this. It's a talent. Krishna gave it to me. I have this talent. I'm really good at this. Okay, great. Use it for Krishna. It's a talent. Krishna gave it to you. It's something you have. How? No, but Prabhu, I don't want to use it because I like doing it. No, it's fine that you like doing it. It's good you like doing it. You probably could do it all day. Now, all you have to do it is to please Krishna, for his pleasure. Then it's perfect. If you do it to enjoy yourself, you won't enjoy it. You'll get sick of it. You'll stick Ganapati. At some point, you put your guitar down and go, okay, I played enough, right? I know. I used to play guitar. I know what it's like, right? It's nectar in the beginning, and at the end, it's like, okay, my fingers hurt, and I just wasted 2 hours, and like real life continues, and I got to go pay the bills, right? But if you do it to please Krishna and Krishna's pleased, then you actually enjoy it. And it's a different level of enjoyment. And then you realize, okay, that's enjoyment. That's enjoyment. Okay. If you get a little taste of it, somehow or other, you realize that's enjoyment and nothing else is enjoyment. And that roots out this false ego that I'm the enjoyer. Because that's the whole problem. If you look at your life right now, just consider how much energy do you spend thinking about what will make you happy? Okay, this sounds like one of those, what do you call those? You come together, everybody admits their problems. Have one of these groups. Okay, everyone admit it. Oh, okay, I admit it, 23 hours. And 57 minutes a day I think about myself. I only think of somebody else or God 3 minutes a day. And that's only when I first get up. And I go, oh God, I don't want to get up, right? So, you start to realize that, wow, this enjoyment thing, that one decision to enjoy has really impacted me for the last zillion years. And it's hard not to think that way. So the whole point of bhakti is, okay, turn it around. Now, make Krishna the enjoyer. And as Radhika says, that's hard. It's hard to transcend jnana because you haven't got ruchi yet. Okay, so when you don't have ruchi, you use your jnana to beat sense into your brain that I should do this. But if you do it consistently, you'll get some ruchi. You won't come to the level of ruchi. There's a difference between ruchi, which means taste, and the stage of ruchi. The stage of ruchi is where you always have it. But you can get ruchi. It just means you won't always have it. But you can get some of it. You get it right away. When you take prasadam, you get it. When you go into kirtan, you get it. When you hear a good class, you get it. Right? So the more you can get ruchi by pleasing Krishna, the better. So Nagapani says, how do you know if Krishna's pleased? Because you're pleased. How do you know he's not pleased? Because you're frustrated and miserable. And you can't please Krishna and not be pleased. It doesn't work any other way. Now, sometimes you can please Krishna and temporarily not be pleased because it's being delayed because of some austerity you're doing. But ultimately, you'll be pleased and you'll also become detached and disinterested in Maya because that's the result of pleasing Krishna. And then, if you're not sure in the beginning, then you take guidance. Well, will this please Krishna? So like you play guitar. So now play for Krishna, sing, chant Hare Krishna, write songs about Krishna. Use it to enlighten other people. Use it to please Krishna. Use it to spread Krishna consciousness. Use it to glorify Krishna. Then Krishna's pleased. And you'll be pleased. But if you're not pleased, it probably means he's not pleased. Or it means that you're not doing it the right way. Okay, so let me go back to Gyan. Yeah, we use Gyan. Okay, this is right, this is wrong. It motivates me to do it, but it's not the highest motivation. The higher motivation is to please Krishna. That's what we want to come to. Okay, when you're too much, then Paul Quiner says, you're too much absorbed in Gyan combined with the counterculture and a negative attitude in general to everything, then you don't remember what is enjoyable, and you're afraid to end up as a miserable, unhappy devotee. Yeah, see, the thing is, we don't want to go around going, everything is miserable, everything is horrible. Because in Krishna consciousness, everything is not miserable, everything is not horrible. The material world may be miserable and horrible, but you're not in it anymore. So when you say everything is miserable and horrible, really what you're doing is reaffirming your decision not to be part of it. But at the same time, it's important that you find a place in Krishna consciousness where things are enjoyable in Krishna service. So it's just a translation of the word enjoyable. When we use the word enjoyable, we don't mean it in relation to ourselves being in the center and the object of enjoyment. So we go to Rath Yatra festival and we enjoy it. Why do we enjoy it? Because Krishna was glorified. Why do we enjoy it? Because we took prasadam, we did kirtan. We talked to people about Krishna. That's why we enjoyed it. We didn't enjoy it because we took Lord Jagannath off the altar and sat on his throne. So we can use the word enjoyment. And we should enjoy Krishna consciousness. Actually, if we don't enjoy it, that means we're not doing it right. We're doing something wrong. It's like if you eat a nice pakora with tomato chutney and you don't enjoy it, it means you're probably sick because you can't taste it. But if you're healthy, you'll enjoy it. So it's not bad that you enjoy it, it's bad you didn't enjoy it. Right? So it's a matter of being in the right consciousness and being in a healthy state of mind. So yes, it's enjoyable to serve Krishna, and we should enjoy serving Krishna. And that's my whole point. It's the only way the spirit of material enjoyment, we're ever going to transcend it, is to take ourselves out of that false ego that I'm the enjoyer, serve Krishna so he's the enjoyer, experience that enjoyment, and realize through experience that enjoyment is better, superior, and through that eventually we come to this point where we no longer think I'm the enjoyer of this material, that I can be happy in this world. Because it is that thought, as I'm saying, is a foundation behind every ounce of reluctance and hesitation to serve Krishna. It's that thought that I can enjoy. And if you look at your life, you'll see it manifest in every desire for sense gratification. The seed of that desire is that I can actually enjoy this. Now, there's a really interesting, how do you get to the stage of ruchi when you have taste all the time? That is the stage of ruchi. Do you mean when you don't have taste all the time? When you have taste all the time, that's the stage of ruchi. When you don't have taste, then you do the things that give you taste, and you do the process of bhakti. I would say the biggest problem for devotees is they don't chant japa well, because that's where you're going to get most of your taste. And one of the reasons they don't chant japa well is they don't get up early, because that's the best time to chant. And the other reason we don't chant japa well is because our lives tend to be dominated by passion and ignorance. So when it comes time to chant, we've just spent a whole other 22 hours in passion and ignorance, and we sit down and it's hard to focus. We either fall asleep or we get distracted. So if we live a life more in goodness, we reorient our life to go to bed early, get up early, more self-discipline, simplicity, cleanliness, like that, our chanting will be better. And we'll have more determination to chant well. And when our chanting is better, there's going to be a taste. And then that taste will carry itself into other activities. There'll be more inspiration, and there'll be more of a desire to seek Krishna please. And then you eventually come to this point in Krishna consciousness where thinking about yourself is not even something you want to do anymore, because it's such an inferior state of consciousness. And then it becomes automatic. You've shifted out of that enjoyer mode. And that is called anartha nivritti, where most of these anarthas go away. Because the anarthas are all rooted in enjoyment. Like even if you're envious of someone, why are you envious? You go, you don't feel good about it. But there's something There's somewhere in your consciousness you think that I'm going to enjoy by being envious. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. So everything is rooted, it has to be rooted in the desire to enjoy and avoid pain. Modern psychologists say this is just, unless you're crazy, that's why you do things. But when you're a devotee, you're motivated by the desire to please Krishna. You're not motivated by your pleasure, and you're not motivated by your desire to avoid pain. Just like Prabhupada asked us to do so many things to spread Krishna consciousness that were a little painful to do. How do we do that? I've never done that before. I don't know if I can do this. I'm afraid to do it. But we did it because that wasn't our calculation. Our calculation was he wants it, he'll be pleased, so we'll do it. That's bhakti. And then what happened? Well, we became ecstatic. We got a special taste. So that's the process. Let me go back to your questions. I don't know, Palak Paneer, if I understood what you were asking, but it's at least the point is, if things in the material world are miserable, it shouldn't make us miserable. It should make us happy that we're not part of it. It only is going to make us miserable when we're doing it. And it will make us more miserable than non-devotees, because when we're miserable, we know why it's miserable. We know, I blew it, I did that, and that's why I'm miserable. Well, they don't know. Sometimes they don't even know they're miserable when they're miserable, because that's the mode of ignorance. But we know it, and we know why. So we're like triple miserable, more than they are. But if you use that misery to project you into Krishna consciousness, to be the heat or the, what do they call them when rockets take off? Whatever, the force under you, then it's fine, because then it helps you. Oh, this attraction, that attraction. No way, I'm not going to do that. I got burnt doing that. So then now it's easier for you to be focused on Krishna, because the whole point is we're trying to overcome the enjoying spirit. Right? I mean, you have to understand, when we came into the material world, we were on a mission, and the mission was to enjoy independently of Krishna. And a lot of us are still on that mission, and we don't realize it. We've just come to Krishna consciousness, we've understood it, but we haven't gotten far enough to go, okay, yeah, that was my mission to enjoy. I'm going to I think I'm going to give that mission up now. I don't think that mission is a good idea anymore. A lot of us still, we're still partially on that mission. Okay, my mission is to be Krishna conscious. I also have this other mission. I mean, I came to this world with this mission to enjoy, still part of my agenda. So we have to remove that from the agenda. And then everything will be easy. You'll be Krishna conscious very quickly, because now it's not about you anymore. It's about Krishna. You'll find that you're not thinking about it. You're making decisions in relation to what's better for Krishna, what's better for my spiritual advancement. That's a principle of surrender, right? Either you do it by force or you'll do it naturally. But what I'm saying is, when you come to a higher stage, that you'll naturally think that way. Why? Because your life's better that way, because you're happier that way. And so that's the solution. You do it by force, gyan, you'll force yourself, and then you get a taste, and you go, this is better, and then it'll become natural. And then when you get to anartha nivritti, then you go to nishta. What nishta means steady. Why are you steady? Because all these things aren't distracting you anymore, because your enjoying spirit is just like decreased to the point where you can actually start thinking of Krishna. But when we're distracted by the enjoying spirit, how can you think of Krishna? Because you're always thinking how you can enjoy separately from him. But when we stop thinking about how we can enjoy separately, then we can actually think of him. And you're thinking, why do I never think of Krishna? Because you're thinking about yourself. It's pretty simple. It's so simple we don't get it. Because we're thinking about how I can enjoy. That's why I'm not thinking of Krishna. So anartha nivritti means you basically stop thinking about yourself as the center, you stop thinking about your enjoyment, and all of a sudden you can think, well, what does Krishna want? What does my spiritual master want? It's very easy. It's quite natural. And that's our natural position. We've just been out of it for so long, it feels unnatural. So, Palak says, I understand what you mean, but currently I don't know how to put Krishna in the center for more than a few minutes in a day. I think I just answered that. A few hours a week. And then I find myself empty and interestless, because you're trying to enjoy without him. Of course, kirtan is fun, classes can be fun. Prasadam is super fun, but what about the rest of our actions? Yeah, because you're trying to enjoy. That have more indirect connection with Krishna's service. Everything you do, Palak-Panir, is connected to Krishna, but you don't see it that way. And as soon as you start seeing it, then everything changes. Everything you do, where did it come from? I mean, whatever you're doing, you're going to school now. So the books are made of Krishna's energies. The intelligence of the writers came from Krishna. The ability of your teachers comes from Krishna. Everything is connected to Krishna. The only reason it's not connected is that we don't see it connected. And as soon as you see it connected, then everything changes. And why you're going to school? Ultimately, you're going to school so you can get a job, and someday you can get married to a nice girl who will not marry you now because you don't have any money, even though you're a nice guy. And then when you show her the bank balance, she'll go, cool, let's get married. And so you can have a nice Krishna, so you can support a nice Krishna conscious family. So everything you're doing is actually in relation to Krishna if you just see it that way. But when you say you can't see it because you're thinking you've just put Krishna out of the center, you've stepped in the center, and you go, I don't see how this is related to Krishna. Of course you don't, because you're trying to enjoy it. So how would you see it that way? But as soon as you see it in relation to Krishna by getting out of the center and seeing that everything is for Krishna's enjoyment, you'll have no problem. It'll just be natural. It'll be like, how could I not see this in relation to Krishna? What's wrong with me? And then you realize the only thing wrong with you is that you think you can enjoy these things. You haven't figured it out yet. You haven't given up trying. It's like we have to stop giving up trying. We just have to get it. It's a simple thing. It's right there in the second chapter of the Gita. We read it many times. There's misery from top to bottom. We're not the enjoyer. We're servant. We're enjoyed. We're Prakriti. We're not Purusha. Okay, let's get it. How do we get it? By seeing everything in relation to Krishna. So like Palak-Panir plays guitar also. So Palak-Panir looks at his guitar and goes, okay, in relation to Krishna. What does that mean? This guitar only plays music for Krishna. It doesn't play, Oh Baby, I Love You. It doesn't play Stairway to Heaven. It plays Stairway to Vaikuntha. Right? It doesn't play Oh Baby, I Love You. It goes, Oh Baby, Krishna, I Love You. Right? You see? You understand? So then now, okay, this guitar only exists for glorifying Krishna. No problem. Seeing that guitar in relation to Krishna. But when I play the blues on that guitar, okay, now I'm using it for Maya, and I'll play the blues and I'll feel the blues. It's actually quite simple. That's why we don't get it, because simple things slip right by us. I would think you just try to see him in everything because he is everything. Exactly. Nozu answered the question before I did. Thank you, Nozu, I agree. But I asked how to add taste, ruchi. It comes from doing that. You can't see the taste that comes from Krishna. It comes from the process of bhakti, and really, it comes from being free from anarthas. I mean, technically, you get a taste when you don't have the anarthas, because the anarthas are the things that are distracting you. So, and you're going after these things, trying to enjoy. So as you go beyond the anarthas, the taste Krishna. Because now you're focused on Krishna, your attention's on Krishna. So the more attention you have on Krishna, the more the taste will be there. So taste comes from purification, from a higher stage of Krishna consciousness. You can't get it unless your senses are purified. So if you just change the subtle body from enjoyer to enjoyed, the taste comes immediately. Because now you start seeing everything in relation to Krishna. If you go out today or tomorrow, Palak-Panir, and you look at everything and say, well, how could everything I see be used in Krishna's service? If it can't be used in Krishna's service, you'll just neutralize it in your consciousness. You won't see it for Krishna's service or your enjoyment. And everything else you'll see will be for Krishna's enjoyment. And you'll be in bliss. You will be in bliss, guaranteed. It's only because we don't see that way that we're not in bliss. And then we're calculating, could I enjoy this? It's just like animal consciousness. What does animal think? Animals walking around wondering, is the other animal going to eat me? Or else he's thinking, can I eat it? And if it doesn't look tasty, then he's thinking, can I have sex with it? That's animal consciousness. So what do? We do very similar things. Can I get her? Can I have sex with her? Can I eat this? How much does it cost? Well, is this chair comfortable? Will I like it? It's just like, what's really the difference? So Krishna consciousness solves all these problems, right? So, and you study Prabhupada's books in this way. What is he saying? He's saying, simplify, do austerity, purify your senses. Why? Because if you don't do that, your senses are going to drive you into material enjoyment, and you're just going to forget Krishna, and you're going to be back where you started from when you came to the material world, trying to do it all over. So it's kind of like, hello, did you get the message? You already done that 14 zillion times. It didn't work then. Not going to work again. And Krishna's saying, and it's my mercy, it's not going to work. If it did work, you'd be in trouble. You could never get out. It's my mercy, it doesn't work, because someday you're going to come to your senses and realize, oh, actually it doesn't work. Yeah. And Krishna's going to say, yeah, I've been trying to tell you that. And I've been trying to show you that, but you didn't get it. But finally, hallelujah, you got it. Better late than never. So let's get on with the business of bhakti. Now you can do bhakti because you got it. You don't need gyan. You don't need to do activities to satisfy your senses and call them bhakti and make up some new philosophy. Oh, it's karma yoga, Prabhu. No, you just play your guitar to please Krishna, and if it won't please Krishna, put it back in the case. That's it. Okay, you like to play guitar, you're good at it. Perfect. Play it for Krishna. Use it to bring other people to Krishna consciousness. Use it to glorify Krishna. Use it to help you remember Krishna and not forget Him. Write songs about Krishna's Leela. Chant verses of the Gita. Memorize the verses playing your guitar. Why not? You can learn a lot of verses. Put it to a nice melody that you remember. Great. That'll give you the ultimate taste. Hare Krishna. So, thank you, Nozu. I think it's, if anything's clear, it's the mercy of the Dham, because living in Vrindavan, in Mayapur or Vrindavan, things become extremely clear. Because Maya is not allowed here. Well, she can enter our consciousness, but generally, Maya is not allowed here. So the experience in the Dham, which is so much different than everywhere else in the world, is that you actually see things as they are. And when you see things as they are, everything's quite simple, actually, and quite easy. So we invite you all to come to the Dham, and you'll be able to see things exactly like I'm explaining them. It'll just be, you'll walk around and go, of course, this is how it is. How could I think it's any other way? Right? So then Danny Boy's talking about brahmacharya. Celibacy is better, it's easier, it gets you into less trouble, and it's cheaper. Definitely cheaper, I can tell you that from experience. That was a joke, folks. It's okay if you get married, but being single is still cheaper. So, I'm hearing everything a minute or two after it's spoken. Yeah, that could be. Slow connection. Tough playing Govinda with guitar? Maybe. But actually there's guitar in it, so. Try A minor, G, F, E minor. I think those are the chords. Anyway, you're all invited to come here. We're waiting for you to come to Mayapur. What we're going to do, my wife and I have this program where we're doing these India tours. So people are coming with us for about almost 2 weeks, and we're going to different places in India, and we're having kirtan and classes. This is like mostly all brand new people to Krishna consciousness. But then my wife said, well, we live in Mayapur, why don't we do like a 1 week, 6 days, 7-night thing in Mayapur? So we get groups of people and just spend a week in Mayapur, and it's much cheaper. We haven't figured it out, but not... the other tour is much more expensive because there's costs are higher, hotels are higher, plane fares. But in Mayapur, it's not as expensive. So, if you like that idea, get a group of people together, or all of you can get together and come to Mayapur, and we'll spend a week together here, and we'll do 3-hour classes every day. We'll go up the Ganga, have kirtan on a boat, go to all the holy places. And bring all these new people with you. No, A minor, G, F, E minor. You can, Ganapati, you can just copy it from the chat, and then you can. A minor, G, F, E minor. Govindam Adipurusham Dum Dum Ham Bhajami. Yeah, or it ends in E major, I'm not sure. E major, E minor. E minor, E major, yeah. And then you can just Ganapati, you can just copy that, paste it. Yeah, so why don't you all come? There's going to be Kirtan Mela here in the middle of March, 24-hour Kirtan for like 5 days. Amazing. Okay, yeah, so many of you know I have a mailing list for my newsletter, so I decided to have a second mailing list, which is for the title of these classes and any other things, classes that I'm doing. So, if you want to be on that mailing list, then you want to send an email to Pallavi. Who do they send it to? Why don't Pallavi, you can give your address. Pallavi will leave you her address, and you just shoot her an email and say, yeah, put me on the list, and then you'll find out about all these classes, and when I'm doing them, when I'm not doing them, if I'm traveling, and then the workshops I'm doing, and any other thing of interest that's happening that might be good for you and exciting. So, okay, I think we should end. We've gone an hour and a half. And still haven't got past the first 2 paragraphs. Someday, Radhika, you can sneak away when nobody's looking. Anyway, if any of you come to Mayapur, let me know. But it's nice if we get a group at the same time, because then we can do things together. Right? Okay, so yeah. So if you want to get on the... So Danny Boy, just Pallavi's email address is there. So why don't you can just send her an email and your name, and then she'll keep you posted. Okay? So any other question before we go? I want to thank you all for coming, and sorry you can't see me, but hearing is more important than seeing. Right now I'm a sight for sore eyes. I haven't shaved in a week because we don't get warm water in our house. But well, we have by the sink, but not where I shave. So I kind of don't like to shave with cold water. So sometimes I don't shave. Doesn't matter around here. You can look like a sadhu. Succeed by failing. Yeah, that's another topic. I gave a class on succeeding by failing. Yeah. Okay, everyone. It's nice talking to you and nice seeing you, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And go to my new site, mahatmawisdom.com. Let me type that in. mahatmawisdom.com. This is really cool because all these little things are up there, like succeeding by failing and other nice things, like, hope you check it out. Okay, so thank you everybody, and we will look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same station. Hare Krishna.